I guess any questions before I start? Okay. So just reviewing for a moment what we said yesterday, and the last 2 days really, we established that the Torah, or Torah study, is divided into 3 categories. There's Mikra, the actual 24 books, fixed psukim, the Mishnah, which is the oral law, what Moshe Rabbeinu received on Har Sinai and came down with, a set of principles, a finite set of principles. The Rambam understands both those things are masterable. You can learn all the psukim and all the Torah Shabbat path that there is, and have it in your pocket, and that's it. You just have to review it so don't forget it. The Talmud is the third category, which is infinite. You can go on as long and as hard as you'll be able to think about it. You'll be able to establish, you'll be able to think deeper and more about these ideas, and really is, as he's not here now, but someone said to me earlier, oh, you are. As Moshe told me earlier today, just very succinctly, the idea was put by Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg that Talmud, or the Talmud really, Talmud, as we talk about it, is actually not part of Torah Shabbat Peh. It's something else. It's thinking about the Torah Shabbat Peh. It's an important point. Torah Shabbat Peh is information, a set of principles. Talmud, the act of thinking about those principles. The Rambam said 4 kinds of thinking: deducing the principles, extrapolating implications, comparing one thing to another thing, and understanding how we got here based on the ways in which the Torah is nidrash, those Gimelios, let's call them. That's the act of Talmud, the verb Talmud, lowercase t, and that's not about information. It's about thinking. And therefore, it would be only a slight bit of an overreach to say that the Talmud, our Talmud, the Gemara, what we call Gemara, is like a control, it's like a guided meditation, if you will, of thinking about these ideas that are presented in the Mishnah text and the principles in the Mishnah, the Torah Shabbat Path sources. So therefore, when we learn Gemara, learn the Talmud, we're not trying to understand, should I do X or not do X? That's not the agenda here. To do X or not do X is a Mishnah topic. The Talmud topic is, it's a given that we should or shouldn't do X, but these are kind of 4 types of thinking, but what are the underlying principles which govern why we should do X? Or, given that we have to do X, what does it tell us about Y? Or, if we have to do X, how does that compare and contrast the rules regarding A, B, or C? Or, given that we have to do X, how do we get there? For what basis do we know we have to do X? The last point, let me speak out a moment also. That was the 4th kind of midos, the Torah Dreshes today. So there's an interesting relationship, which I didn't really explore at all, I'm not going to too much right now, between the Torah Shebechsav, the written Torah, and the Torah Shebaal Peh. Hashem, in his, it seemed understood by Chazal as an expression of his greatest genius, or the way we can most appreciate the incredible, incomprehensible genius of Hashem, is that Hashem managed to fit these principles, or allusions to these principles, into this very small Torah text. The text itself is now 308,000 characters, I believe, 305,000 and change characters in the Chumash. I think it's 305,845, what it's worth. Number ring around in my head here. But in those very finite texts, Hashem managed to squeeze in allusions to essentially all of these principles and all of these ideas that the Talmud will bring out, which is extraordinary. And that they're encoded with these different ways which can be extrapolated to these drashos, to these midos, whatever they're, the midos by which the Torah is extrapolated. And a great deal of the effort of the Talmud is trying to see how the principles that Moshe got on Har Sinai, the Torah Shabbat Peh, is embedded or alluded to in the Torah text itself. That's a big ASIC, a big time. A lot of time is spent on that in the Talmud, and it's fascinating. There's an exception to what I asked you yesterday about Halach l'Moshe Sinai. Not for now. That's not embedded in the text. In any case, those types of thinking, what the principles are and what they teach us, are the Talmudic thought that we are meant to be doing. And therefore, it's a mistake to think, I'm going to come to a shir, a Daf Yomi shir, Amma Yomi shir, this shir, and sort of sit back and listen to what the Talmud has to say and collect that information. Because I said it yesterday, I'm underscoring it today. The Talmud's agenda, the Gemara's agenda, is not to convey information at all. It's not about information at all. It's a collection, as I said yesterday, the information is the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi codified in the Mishnah. That's the set of information. And then people thought about it because they were and had ideas, ruminations on the Mishnah text. We said in the year 200 roughly, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi codified it. For the next few hundred years, there were lots of discussions. There was fear, Ravina and Ravashi, ultimately in Bavel, and let's say the 450, let's call it, were afraid that those ruminations, those thoughts, 250 years of thinking would be lost, and that the meaning of the Mishnah would be too obscure for us to understand, and therefore they wrote down those discussions on each Mishnah in the Gemara. So our Talmud text is every Mishnah, as I said yesterday, and then accompanied by a Gemara, a collection of discussions that happened in the various Batei Midrashim, primarily in Bavel, on those Mishnah texts. And they're very succinct, they're very brief, and the Mishnah is brief enough, and as I said yesterday, is intended to be obscure, meant to be that you can't make it by yourself, make sense of it. You needed to have a Rabbi to teach it. That was Rabbi Nasi's trick, how to keep it oral and yet write it down. But the Gemara, the Bavli is also to a great degree like that. It's very, very brief and concise, just summing up the discussion on the Mishnah. And as I said yesterday, sometimes there'll be machlokas at the beginning of the Mishnah. So our job isn't to say, okay, good, I'm collecting score. Beis Hillel said yes, and Beis Shammai said no, and like that's it, keep on going. No, not at all. That's not the point of Talmud, whatever. Talmud, the point is that if Beis Hillel is saying yes and Beis Shammai is saying no, that's like what we said yesterday, the mashal, everyone's saying 13, but someone's screaming in the back, no, negative 13 is also true. And our role isn't to dismiss it or whatever. Our role is to think, well, this Shammainik is smarter than I am and no kol Torah kula. Obviously, he is considering all the pieces on the playing board in a different way than I am. He's thinking of it from a different framework. And my responsibility in the Talmud is to think about another way of thinking about this text, or thinking about these principles. That's what the Machlokas is coming to bring out. So the exercise isn't to collect shitas. That's a waste of time. The exercise of Talmud learning is to understand there's two ways or whatever, different ways of learning and thinking about this text. And similarly, when let's speak metaphorically for us. If an Amoraim of people who are in the Gemara, if an Amora says, I once saw a polar bear and it went, a mile south and a mile east and a mile north and ended up in the same place where it started. So if you're silly, then you'll think, oh, those rabbis, they're talking about magical bears, I don't know what they're talking about. Not at all. If you were here yesterday, you know what I'm referring to. If not, I don't want to go back to it so much. But not at all. If there be such a chazal, the point of it is that your intuition might say the world is flat, but really the world is round. And if you consider a round world and you're operating from the North Pole, Taka, the rules of navigation won't work at all, like your intuition says. And actually, the world's quite different than how you imagined it. And the Chazal are giving you in a very brief way, by talking about polar bears, for argument's sake, giving you an insight into how the world really works. And actually, by that metaphor, we live in a curved world, even though it feels mighty flat, right? And if you really want to understand how navigation works and whatever, you'd be much better off thinking about it as a sphere than as a flat surface. So when Chazal are giving you these metaphorical ideas, they're teaching you a different way of looking at the world, and our responsibility is not just to collect sheets as, some crazy rabbi talks about crazy bears doing weird things, but to actually try to figure out why they're saying that, and understand the framework, the reference point from which they're standing, to understand how they're seeing the world, because that's a legitimate way of perceiving the world according to Torah, and we should sort of get our heads around that way too. Okay, so that's what we set up to now, and as I showed now, we begin Mesechet Brachot in earnest, but this will Hakdama to be said. So that was my Hakdama to Talmud in general, but just a brief Hakdama to Berachos. So now we're starting Mesechet Brachot. We said yesterday that the Shas, the Shisha, Sidrei Mishnah are divided into 6 Sadarim. Actually, what the words mean. Those 6 Sadarim are Zerayim, seeds, which is where Berachos is found, and then you have Moed, Nashim, Nezikin, Kachim, Taharos, whatever those are, for another time. The Seder of Zerayim, which we're learning, is divided into 11 different subsections called Mesechtos. The word Mesechet is an interesting word. There's different pshat in what it means, but I'll tell you one pshat which I like very much, which is a Mesach is a loom, like if you're familiar with Hilchos Shabbos and Malachos, and a loom is when you weave things together, you have lots of disparate strings that come together to make some sort of composite whole. And that's what the Talmud is trying to do. It's taking lots and lots and lots of loose ends, so to speak, and it weaves them together into a tapestry which provides context. So Mesechet is a way to provide context for lots and lots and lots of details. So Mesechet Brachos is the loom upon which, so to speak, Chazal weaves the tapestry of these concepts and how they are interconnected. So Brachos is the first. The word bracha means pashas to increase or expand upon. It could also be a reference to the knee. The Berachos is the knee. We're familiar with brachos. We say brachos every day, 100 times a day. That's the halacha, at least. So brachos either is a reference to, so to speak, he to whom we bow our knee, we bend our knee, and showing the deference, recognition that Hashem is the source of everything. We make brachos to recognize that. Or it's somehow an expression of, we recognize all comes from Hashem, and He is Mevarech, we're praising Him, the Rashba says it's like praising Him, or that He is the source of all goodness. And when we say Baruch Atah, we are saying either Hashem, you are the source of blessing, that's usually how you'll see it translated, or blessed art thou, blessed are you, you are somehow blessed. Most of the portions that you can't give Hashem a blessing, of course, so it's recognizing that Hashem is the source of blessing. Something like, when we say Rachum, we say Hashem is the one who embodies Rachamim. So Baruch is Hashem, the one who embodies, personifies blessing, of bestowing kindness, something like that. The more Kabbalistic Sfarim say, you can give Hashem a bracha. You say Baruch Atah. So when you give someone a bracha, in order to give someone a bracha means to wish them well and somehow effect that their undertaking, their project, their enterprise should be matzliach, should go well and fulfill their aspirations. Like if you have a bracha, your business should succeed, whatever the story is. So the way the Kabbalistic Sfarim talk about how really Hashem has an enterprise, he has an agenda too. His agenda was to be native, to bestow good onto us, and by recognizing that it comes from Hashem, whatever it is, the apple you're about to eat, and you make a bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem, great for your eats. So what you're saying is like Hashem, you created this apple because you wanted to do good to me, and here I am being now like look, here to you. Hashem, I give you a bracha, your agenda should be fulfilled because you wanted to do good, and I'll be the recipient of your goodness, and now I'm going to enjoy the apple that you gave me because you wanted to give it. So I'm enjoying, so to speak, because you wanted to give it to me. Something like that. So that's another understanding of what a bracha is. We make those brachas every day, recognizing Hashem as the source, and we're actually facilitating Hashem's agenda in giving and bestowing good to us. That's Mesechus. That's the idea of brachos in general. Our Mesechta, I should say, Mesechta is an Aramaic word. Meseches is like a construct state, the Mesechta of Brachos. So they're sort of interchangeable. Anyways, we technically should say Meseches Brachos, but you can say Mesechta, the tractate of Brachos. Although I think the word tractate is a made-up word that Ashkel made. I don't think there's such a real word. I don't think. I happen to like language. I don't think that tractate is a standalone word. I think it's like they made it up just to have an English word that translates Mesechta. You can check on that, let me know if I'm wrong. That's the right thing. Straight. But anyways. So our Mesechet Brachos is divided into 9 chapters, 9 prakim chapters. The structure is the first 3 deal with Kriya Shema, the mitzvah of reciting the Shema, which we'll focus on for quite a while now, I guess. Then the next 2, chapters 4 and 5, deal with Tefillah, prayer, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9 deal with blessings. The first 3, 6, 7, 8 deal with what's called Berachos Nenin, blessings of hana, of benefit, like on food and drink and so on, benching after meals and zimun and so on. And the last bracha, the last chapter, chapter 9, deals with Berachos Hoda, blessings of thanks. But it goes on different sort of events or things that happen. You appreciate Hashem's greatness in one way or the other. So you're not deriving an internal consumptive benefit, you're deriving a benefit in Hashem is amazing that He can make earthquakes or do miracles for us, or whatever the case may be. So that's the structure of brachos. We start now on base, page 2, Okay, something like that. With the Mishnah, talking about Kriya Shema. So I don't want to get too much into Kriya Shema this minute. You're familiar with it, I assume, enough. This much you need to know, that the pasuk that we say in Kriya Shema, which governs the time for saying Kriya Shema, it says, B'shach b'cha u'v'kumecha, in your lying down. Shochev is to lie down, so shach b'cha is your shchiva, your lying down. And there's a prefix there, a preposition, the base, which means something like in your lying down. Right? B'shach b'cha, in your lying down. And kumecha, kum is to get up, like getting up in the morning. Kumecha, you're getting up. And if it's uve kumecha, it's and in your getting up. So you have to say Kriya Shema, you have to recite the Shema. Text, whatever it is, we'll discuss another time, not a minute. You know what it is, although you don't really know what it is, because there's actually 5 shitas what the mitzvah is, by the way. The mitzvah, there's one sheet that's just Durabanan, there's a sheet that's just the first pasuk, there's a sheet that's the first paragraph, 2 paragraphs, and 3 paragraphs. I think normative halacha is that the first 2 paragraphs are mandated, and the third one is added for different reasons we'll talk about later on. Remembering Tzitz Mitzrayim and talking about tzitzis. In any case, whatever the technical mitzvah is, the timing for that mitzvah, which is the topic of this Mishnah here, is governed by the 2 words b'shach b'cha, in your getting up, and b'shach b'cha, in your lying down, and uvekumecha, and in your getting up. And in that already is an ambiguity, which I want to bring to your attention before I start the Mishnah, which is like this. I don't have to write it down, but I was going to write it down, but you'll have to imagine it. The base, even the English expression, in your lying down. If the mitzvah is say Shema in your lying down, it's actually ambiguous in English, and it's ambiguous in Hebrew too. That could mean either when you lie down, or when you are lying down. Now, the Torah is given in a way that it holds true for everybody, so we wouldn't be particularly concerned when you particularly lie down, and if you take a nap in the afternoon, you have to say Kriya Shema. That's not the point. But it's people in general, and the people in general of, let's just keep it simple, we'll have on the Chaznish, who said the 2,000 years of Torah, when the Mishnah is written, that's what governs reality, that will define the Torah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. I just don't want to deal with the fact that today people go to bed much later and get up much later. Ignore that for now, another time. But in Chazal's world, which is, let's say, it's Koveya, what the halakha is, and ostensibly it is, the Torah is saying, in your Jewish people's lying down and in your getting up, say Shema. But that could mean 2 things. It could mean when people in general go to sleep, or when people are in general in their beds. And that's 2 different things. Yeah, in the sleep. So that could mean either people go to sleep in the beginning of the night. People are in their beds for the whole night. So that's an ambiguity, which right away is what emerges. I was cutting to the chase here. You'll see Shitas running about here. And the Shitas of the Tanaim and this Mishnah are based on that ambiguity. Whether in your lying down means when you go to lie down, or in your lying down means when you are lying down. Okay? So I was giving you a heads up so that you won't scratch your heads too long with the Shitas here. So the Mishnah says inside, read inside now. This doesn't fall. It's based on a base. Berachos, it says, Me'emasai korin eshma ba'arvin. The girsa I'll use, I'm going to try to avoid girsa issues, girsa variant texts. I'm going to pretend there are no variant texts in the world unless somehow I really need them because there are different texts. There are at least 3 major versions of the Mishnah, I should say. There's the Mishnah, what we call the Mishnayos, on the Mishnah shelf. There's the Mishnah as it's found in the Bavli in front of us here, and there's the Mishnah as it's found in front of the Yishalmi, which we go in front of us. There are countless discrepancies between those texts, which makes for lots of fun, but I don't want to get in that right now. In any case, if you learn Mishnayos, you'll know if you're familiar with this Mishnah, because that's the very first one, it's Arvis, for example, not Arvin. I'm just pretending that doesn't exist. The girsa that I'm going to stick to, unless somehow it has major implications to Pshat, will be the girsa in front of us, so it's Arvin. So the words mean, Me'emasai, from when do we recite Shema in the evening? Erev is a funny term, by the way. Usually when the Torah talks about nighttime, it uses the word Lila. So if you're sensitive to that, you see there's something already Weasley happening over here. It didn't say when's the nighttime Shema, it said when's the Erev Shema. And that's weird. The reason why it's doing it is because I told you a moment ago, I don't want to let me count the bag here for the first of this year. that the pasuk says nothing about daytime and nighttime Shema. It says there's a Shema you say at bedtime, and there's a Shema you say and getting up time, and that's on night and day, right? It's on night and day. It might be close to night and day, but not exactly night and day. It's night, bedtime, and getting up time, and therefore we'll see, for example, that when the Gemara gets its opportunity to speak, there will be shittas that perhaps you can say the Kriya Shema of the night time even after it's light outside. Because if you understand Kriya Shema of in your lying down means when you're lying in your bed, and rich lazy people get to lie in bed past the crack of dawn, so maybe you can still say it even when the light's coming out, even though it's not the day. It's definitely, according to all definitions, night is gone once it's light outside, but maybe it's still Kriya Shema of B'shach B'chav, lying down is still a possibility. So we'll get back to that, but I'm just bringing to your attention here, Arvin's a funny word. It means, because it's dancing on that fence. That we're talking about nothing to do with astronomy and astronomical events. We're talking about, per se, we're talking about bedtime, social, that's normal for bedtime, or being in your bed or going to bed. So that's the question. From when do we say Shema in the evening? From the time that the Kohanim come in to eat their truma. So if you wanted a proof that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, when he wrote the Mishnah, wanted to keep it a closed book unless you have a guide to walk you through it, you need to go no further than the first sentence. Because the question is, okay, when do I say Shema? The answer is, well, when the Kohanim come and eat their truma, which is a meaningless response to anybody, unless you know what that's supposed to be referring to, of course. And that was the intention. The intention was the Mishnah should remain a closed book, okay, as it is. But in any case, I will also let the cat out of the bag over here. The bottom line answer is, this is referring to Tzeisa Kochavim, when the stars come out, 3 medium-sized stars, what we call Nacht. We'll get to the wide range of shittas exactly in terms of minutes or darkness, how much that is. But in any case, what we call Tzeis, nighttime, when night is onset, that is when you can say Shema.
Well, it's interesting to notice that he used that, because if it's a cloudy day, you can't tell when the stars come out.
Okay, good. Okay, so good. But so let me explain these very words here. I just want to, like, who says you know what Kohanim eating their truma is referring to? Let me and what, when, and why can't they eat their truma at certain times? So the story is, I'll do it briefly, and I don't want to. I'm afraid there'll be certain people that will think, oh, this is beginnerish and babyish and never knows this. But it's not true. Everyone doesn't know this, and be patient. And after a few, the ideas will accrete. Like I told you, my policy is I assume no one knows anything. And I think it serves everyone in good stead because people are afraid to ask. So the Kohanim are entitled to gifts called Truma. The Truma you're referring to, let's call it Truma Gedola, the first tithe, the main tithe, it's taken from produce in Eretz Yisrael. I don't give a share on Truma now, but when you have your grapes and your farm in Israel, you must separate some of the grapes aside for the Kohanim. The details, not for now. But that's the first thing set aside. It still applies today, maybe only to Rabbanan, but it still applies today. You're probably aware you need to have watch for action in Eretz Yisrael. It's much more difficult to keep kosher in Eretz Yisrael than Chutz La'aretz, because you have to be afraid of things like Truma, which is stuck in might be not taken from your food, whereas in Chutz La'aretz you have no fear. Truma is quite severe, actually. It has the penalty of Misa B'dei Shemayim, death by heaven, God forbid. So that is a serious business. So Truma is serious. In any case, Truma has a special mitzvah that it has to be kept tahor. You cannot eat it if you're tamei. Now, when a person becomes tamei, one or the other, comes tomorrow 9 o'clock, we'll find out all the ways that could be. But if a person becomes tamei, let's say a Kohen became a zav. He had a weird emission called zav, whatever that is, and he's rendered tamei. Tuma is, it's called legal status. Legal status, he can't eat his truma. I don't do anything to be fine from the outset. And I hope most of you are familiar with that. So, when a Kohen becomes tamei, so there's actually as many as 3 steps in his tahara process. If he became a zav, it would be 3 steps. If it was, other 2 was fewer. But let's say a zav, he had this weird emission. It's not seminal emission, it's some other weird emission, the zav emission. So he first must go to the mikveh. And by going to the mikveh, he reduces his tuma status, but not fully. Not fully. He needs something else called hereb shemesh, the day to wash away, which is this. 3 stars coming out. Sufficient amount of day washed away from the sky, enough light having gone that the stars are now visible. Again, so nothing, as you asked a moment ago, it has nothing to do with stars per se. The day is gone. The day is long gone. So when a Kohen becomes tamei, let's say, as a zav, he is a source of tuma. He's an avatuma. Bad news that he definitely can't touch any truma. If he goes to the mikvah, that doesn't solve his problem though. Going to the mikvah just makes him less of a potent source of tumah. It's called a tavul yom. Too many details for now, but it doesn't matter. He's still tummy. A tavul yom is considered like a sheni l'tumah, whatever that means. Again, I can't say everything, but he will not yet be allowed to eat truma. However, once the tavul yom, the kohen, has gone to the mikvah and has nightfall upon him, 3 stars coming out, that's the simon. So now he becomes tahor enough to eat truma. Okay.
I'll ask you a question, Rabbi. What do you mean? You can start saying the Shema when the 3 stars come out. That's when you can start saying the Shema.
As a matter of policy, I want you to write down the questions. I will get to them. I will try that, but I can't. If this starts happening, we'll never get it. You see, I'm already speaking so slowly and going. So make a note. I promise, to the best of my ability, I will get to every question by the end. But we'll have lots of work to go through. Really. And I'm around after share if you want, if I don't get to your questions. Make a note, otherwise it just won't work. So if you'll forgive me for that. So the Kohen becoming somewhat tahor, but the mikvah and having night fall upon him, so to speak, makes him tahor sufficiently to eat truma. The truth is, he's actually not fully tahor yet. There's actually a third step. The Mishnah will talk about it in a bit, but I'll just give you a heads up, which is he still has to bring korbanos. If he's a zav, it has to bring korbanos. Whenever that would happen, you saw 3 times this zav emission. So he still is considered a chusar kippurim. He lacks atonement, and actually could not eat kachim, couldn't eat sacrificial meat. So when the Kohanim come in to eat their truma, means dafka truma, and not the sacrificial meat korbanos, which they couldn't eat at nightfall. They'd have to wait till the next morning after bringing their korban that a zav has to bring. Okay, a lot of details I know, but okay, enough that you can navigate with the Mishnah. So the Mishnah, in simple English, says, from when can you say Shema of the evening? The answer is, when the stars come out, the day is gone, which is the exact same time as when a Kohen could eat his truma, which is Tzeis Kochavim, the onset of night. And we'll discuss more in the Gemara why it chose that and what that there teaches. Fine. Ad sof Ashmura Harishona, until the end of the first Ashmura. Again, another jargon term from the Mishnah, which Ashmura means watch. Maybe capital W. Till the end of the first watch. Like, who's watching? What's watching? Who knows? Totally obscure, and you would never understand it. For now, for this moment, we'll go high behind Rashi and just say, understand that it means the first third of the night. We'll see as the Gemara goes on, there's actually machlokas, up to 3 watches or 4 watches in the nighttime. These watches are some sort of angelic, celestial, changing the guards up there, and then they have some sort of manifestation down here in terms of what goes on. We'll get to the Gemara. Whatever it is, in plain English, it means until the first third of the night is done. Lahalacha. Okay, we have up to the first bit. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's Rabbi Eliezer Shikar. So Rabbi Eliezer is understanding that when it says b'shach b'cha, in your lying down, it means when people go to lie down at bedtime. When's bedtime? From when it gets dark outside, 3 stars, till the first third of the night. After that, it's no longer bedtime. Every good boy and girl has gone to bed by then, after the third of the night, and that's normal. And if you stay up later, you're just weird. You don't count. Normal people go to bed by the first third of the night. Certainly in a world without artificial lighting, it was a no-brainer, and so on. And therefore, the train left the station. According to Eliezer, if you say Kriya Shema after, at midnight, you're not yotzi, because it's no longer bedtime. The Torah is mandating b'shach b'chad when you go to bed, and people would have gone to bed already, so you missed your chance. That's Rabbi Eliezer Shita. Now there's an ambiguity here, the kind of ambiguity which I would not bring up if I didn't feel I should, but I feel I should because the Gemara brings it up. If you read maybe you're aware there's a big tumult once upon a time, and I don't mean to dredge it up, that the Haredi leadership were not happy with Steinsaltz when he put out his, Rabbi Steinsaltz, when he put out his Steinsaltz Gemara, because it was menukat, it was vowelized. Today it's like water under the bridge, and no one will way past that. But anyways, their objection was, by putting punctuation in the Talmud, you're actually imputing an understanding which may not be there, may be incorrect, and it's not fair because it's ambiguity is built in. This is a good example of that also here. There's 2 ways to read this opening sentence. Let me say it outside and you'll see the words afterwards. It could be that the Gemara's question is, when do you say Shema at nighttime? And the answer is when the stars come out. Period. New paragraph. New discussion. What about the deadline? When about the starting time? When is the ending time? And I'll have a new opinion. Rabbi Eliezer is saying his opinion. But Rabbi Eliezer may or may not be agreeing with that first sentence about the starting time. Okay? You can read it both ways. I'm not just saying that to split hairs. Later on, we'll have a problem. The Gemara will say, wait a second. Rabbi Eliezer seems to not say, like the first open line of our Mishnah, it doesn't seem Rabbi Eliezer agrees that you could say the starting point for Kriya Shema is 3 stars coming out. So then how could it be? In our Mishnah, he did say that. The answer will be, well, maybe our Mishnah doesn't mean that. Maybe our Mishnah means everyone agrees that the starting time is 3 stars, or maybe it means, no, some people agree Rabbi Eliezer is not taking sides of this. Rabbi Eliezer is coming to address a different point, which is the ending time, and maybe he doesn't agree with that at all. Okay? In any case, so we have 3 opinions now. Rabbi Eliezer is the first when the stars come out, in English, simplified translation. The Chachamim, that's the majority of the sages, and that will be the halacha, of course, because usually the halacha is the Chachamim. Omrim ad chatzos, they say you have until midnight. Until midnight. I mentioned to you that you see a little base, as my Gemara next to the word ad, in the beginning of the 4th line. That's a reference that in Mishpat, on the top left, they're telling you that the halacha reflects, assuming the in Mishpat can be exactly precise and whatever, it's indication that the halacha is going to reflect that view. Just a shortcut. It may not be true, and sometimes it's ... but in any case, that's what's going on over there. Now, if we understand that b'shach b'chak means one of 2 things. When you go to bed, or when people are in bed, it's not really clear which side of the fence the chacham are on. So what's midnight? Is midnight time to get up? Is midnight still time to go to bed? It seems a little strange. We'll discuss it. The 3rd chief is Rabban Gamliel. I mentioned him yesterday in my introduction. When you see the word Rabban, that literally means our master. That is only a title given to the Nasi, the head of the Sanhedrin, the Nasi. So only Rabban Gamliel is called Rabban Gamliel, like Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, and so on. Other ones are just called, if they're in Bavel, they'll be called Rav, and if they're in Eretz Yisrael, they have Smicha, they'll be called Rebbe. Okay? This Reish above there is Rebbe Eliezer, because he was a Musmach from Eretz Yisrael still. And later on, the Gemara will have lots of Ravs, not Rebbe's, they'll be in Bavel. But Rabban means the Nasi, Rabban Gamliel is the Nasi, he was the head of the Sanhedrin, and his opinion was, Omer, Ad Yala Amr Shachar. You can say Kriya Shema until, Ad means until, Sheyale Amud Shachar, and literally until the pillar of the morning comes up. What we would say in English, the crack of dawn. When light first becomes visible, then like the night's over. As soon as light emerges, that's the end of nighttime, it becomes daytime, and people should be getting up, says he. So, according to Rabban Gamliel, the understanding b'shach b'cha, and you're lying down, means when people are lying in their beds, which is the whole night, from on to the night when it gets dark, until dawn, when people should be getting up to serve their Creator. That's how Allah has brought down the way people should be getting up even before the dawn, if you will. What people do today is a different discussion because our clocks are shifted because of artificial light. In any case, so the machlokas here, Rabban Gamliel, is based on how to understand the word, the letter base, the prefix base, in your going to bed, in your lying down, or in your lying down when you're in your bed the whole night. The Chacham Shita's source is not clear. We'll have to discuss it in the Gemara. Actually, no, the Mishnah will discuss it in a moment. Period. New paragraph. Maisa. Maisa means something like, I don't know, once upon a time. I don't mean that it means, like, this happened, a story that happened. Literally means a story. A story that happened, which is usually mean that normally you should expect the story to corroborate what we just said. It's a Maisa listor, the contradictory story is not supposed to happen. It becomes a question of why it's giving contradictory stories. This Maisa should be somehow supportive of what we said before and further instructive. And here's what it says. Maisa, it once happened, Uba'u banav nebeis Mishna. His sons came from the Beis Mishna. These are the sons of Rabban Gamliel. They came from the Beis Mishna. Beis Mishna means the house of drinking, or house of drink, literally. The Rambam speaks out right away that that's a reference to a wedding hall, not a nightclub. So if you're a cynic, you're a fool, you'll think that's just those Haredim whitewashing things again. You know, they don't want to. There's apologists because Beis Mishna means the drinking hall. But actually, it makes a very big difference. The halacha, if Beis Mishna means a wedding hall, if they're coming from a wedding, or if they're coming from a bar, what's the difference? Because if you're coming, and I can't open this can of worms, let's put it on the table. If you're coming from a wedding, then it means that you're osik b'mitzvah. And if you're involved in a mitzvah, you have a patur of other mitzvahs, you're exempt from the mitzvahs, and therefore maybe that will be the reason for a leniency. Whereas if they're coming from just drinking out on the town, they wouldn't have that dispensation, to be more strict to them because they're not considered to have the patur. So that is a big difference. So the Rambam, by saying it's a wedding hall, is perhaps saying, there's some big implications, that it's because they were involved in a mitzvah that they're going to have a lenient treatment. That could be the shot. Okay. In any case, I'll discuss more as we go on. So they came back from the wedding. It was obviously late at night. It was past midnight, and if you're keeping score, Rabbi Gamliel said you have till the morning, but the Chachamim said you only have till midnight. So they said, Amrulo, they, the boys, his sons, said to him, Rabbi Gamliel, Lo karinu es Shema. We have not yet recited the Shema. So what should we do? So what's it supposed to mean? You can't say that the boys are old enough to be out in the town by themselves and not old enough to know that their father says you have till the morning. So what kind of question is that? So the answer must be that the sons are saying to Rabbi Gamliel, listen, Dad, we understand that you hold you have until the morning, but we know the Chachamim say you have till midnight. It's past midnight. It's very fine for you to do what you want to do. You're Rabbi Gamliel, you can do what you want, but the halacha is like the Chachamim, and you got to do what we have to do what the halacha is. So what's the deal? Is the deal that the Chachamim really agree to you, that bidi eved, a person can say Kriya Shema until dawn? Or no, you have this crazy idea, and whatever your idea is, that's fine, but we have to rely on the Chacham going the normative halacha, and it's too late. The train is left the station for us to be no longer can say Shema. Which one is it? That's their question. So, Amar Lahem, so he said back to them, no, Imlo Allah Amar Shachar, if the crack of dawn hasn't happened yet, so then, let's call that, if you want a time, let's call that 72 minutes before the sun appears over the horizon, and just a sheet of it, if you want a number, first light. So, if that hasn't happened at the crack of dawn, chayavin atem likros. No, you still have an obligation to recite. Meaning, he's saying, the Chacham agree with me, at least b'di'evid, that you still can say Shema until the morning. But again, la halacha, it would be a question how far this stretches. If you understand they're coming from a base of Mishna and they're just partying all night. I said, listen, we were partying and we just didn't watch the clock, so it could be then that he's being very lenient. It says, doesn't matter. Really, they were saying just l'chachila, say it by chatzos, but b'di'evid you have the whole night. Or it could be, no, because they came from Beis HaMishta, because they were coming from a mitzvah of a wedding, they're anusim, they're, whatever the word is, anusim, they have circumstances beyond their control, let's call it for now. And therefore they have until, they can say Krishna past midnight. But the rabbis meant what they said, and they said chatzos. If you don't have a better excuse, the rabbi said, too late for you. The train left the station at midnight. Two possibilities. Okay, so that's what he said to them. He said, by the way, when it comes to nightfall, and I'm saying it's till the morning, below zul bilvad, it's not just that. Amru, I'll put the word amru in. Ella, kol mash amru chacham, whenever the rabbi said ad chatzos, when they said till midnight, mitzvasen ad shialam shachar. The truth is that you really have until dawn for everything. For example, hektar chalavim ve'evarim. The hektar is the burning on a fire of an offering, like the katoris, the incense. Of chalavim, chalavim means the emurim, the obligatory components of korban. Those who can learn Kashmir with us, who know those are 4 or 5. The chalev is one of the components of the hard fat. There's also the seres hakaved, the klios, the diaphragm. You have the aliyah of the fatty tail. If it has a fatty tail, if it's a lamb. In any case, the burning of those fats, which is for every korban, and the evarim, which korbanos have evarim, limbs. Only one of the 8 kinds of korbanos have evarim. That's the korban olah. Right, olah has to be fully burned. Other korbanos you don't burn the evarim, you eat the evarim. In any case, there's a mitzvah to burn them, and that, let's say that the Mishnah you're saying, the rabbis established it's till you have till chatzos to burn them. That's a contentious issue which Rosh doesn't agree with. I don't want to do the second, if you don't mind. We'll just take this off topic, if they said it somewhere else or not. In any case, the mitzvah of burning the fats by midnight, and the limbs at midnight, is only a derabanan really have to the morning. And the same goes the mitzvah and ashiel and shachar, the mitzvah till dawn. Similarly, whenever you have a korban whose mitzvah is to eat in one day, which is all kachim, and those chatos, achatas korban, you know what that is, and ashim korban, you know what that is, you have only one day and a night to eat them. So midoraisa, you have the let's say you bring a chatas, you have that day to eat it, the kohen of that day to eat it. This applies too for Toda, by the way, and for Berachos, for what it's worth, and Kivsi Atzeretz, if you care. But in any case, you have, if you bring a chatas, you bring a sin offering, because you were Machal Shabbos B'Shoyek, so the Kohanim must eat it either that day that you bring it, today is Tuesday, so we have, if I bring my chatas now, the Kohanim have the rest of the day till Tzeis, and they have also the rest of the night, meaning they have until Amud Shachar, Midoraisa, till today's Tuesday, so let's go Wednesday morning at daybreak, at dawn break. That's when the buzzer is over and the meat that's left over then becomes nosar, leftover meat, and because they were over this Sherlina left over, and they become asr to eat under pain of karas. In any case, the rabbi said, listen, don't wait till the last second of the night to eat your meat, and which is a mitzvah to eat the meat, because you don't have a notice, you don't have a warning. Remember, in Chazal's time, they did not have clocks that we have them today. They did have sun dials and stuff like that, but no real accurate clock. So there's no way to know that dawn is coming until it's here. The second there's any indication that dawn is here, the buzzer's gone. There's no way to know. That's a risky game to play. And therefore, the rabbi said, forget it. From midnight, which is, you have to guess when it is, but if you're off by an hour or two, big deal. You have a whole night of 6 hours of wiggle, 6 or 11 hours. So the rabbi said, stop eating these meats, the sacrificial meats that the buzzer is till daybreak at midnight, lest you underestimate when the night is here and actually eat some and be liable to carbs. So that rabbinic injunction of till chatzos is similar to this. You have really midoraisa the whole night, but midorabanan just till chatzos. If that's true, so you have 3 cases here: Kriya Shema, which is the whole night, but the rabbi said do it by midnight. Burning the fats and limbs, you have a whole night, but do it by midnight, let's say, and also eating the sacrificial meat that you have just till dawn, but stop at midnight. Those are all derabanan. The rest of the night's one single unit. If that's true, in Cain, lama amru chacham ma chatzos. If that's true, why did the rabbi stick the nose in and make it difficult for us and say till midnight? What were they trying to achieve? There weren't answers, and this is usually Rabbi Gamliel, presumably talking to his boys. Kedila harchik adam min ha'aver, or esa adam as here says Mishna, in order to keep people from doing the favors. Keep people doing the favors. And the same with the Kriya Shema, lest you underestimate when day is coming or you fall asleep, whatever it is. The rabbi said you better do it by midnight, lest you miss your opportunity and miss Shema, because once the days come, there's something you can't fix, right? You can't fix the same Shema at night, and the night is gone. So they said by chatzos. Good. I will take questions on that on this Mishnah. Yeah. I might be warned. I'll probably say we'll get to that in the Gemara, but I'm taking questions in case they're clear. Yeah.
When you were talking about the bait in Bishachah, is there any relationship to that bait and Bereshit?
Oh yeah, there is. That's another topic. But the question is the prefix, the base prefix in Bishachah, is that connected to the prefix base in Bereshit? The answer for sure is yes, right? Because like Rashi says, Bereshit is in the beginning. It's that the bait prefix is in.
What does it mean there? In other words,
same thing in Reshit. I don't get the funny Rashi there about Reshit is its own sneak. It's funny, but it means in the beginning. There's a Reshit, and Bereshit means in the beginning is happening. It's quite a big topic because that's such a strange word, Bereshit. Unfortunately, we'll try to discuss what it means. Rashi himself on Chumash says the word can't be understood literally. It must mean, if he goes to rewrite the text of the Torah, what it means. I mean, I can't get that, but it's the same prefix. Answer your question briefly. Yeah.
The first third of the night is when the person lies down until Seis HaChavod.
No, so Seis HaChavod means the onset of night, when it gets dark. And that will continue on, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Bedtime continues till, let's for our purposes, we're gonna, for the whole of this Mesechet Brachot, let's just keep a common language, which is, let's assume that the night begins at 6 p.m. and the night ends at 6 a.m. That just keeps it very simple, okay? So the first third of the night means the first 4 hours, that's 12, meaning from 6 to 10 p.m. Yeah, well, I don't want to keep on qualifying that, don't take those dates and times exactly literally, but to give you an idea. So at 6 p.m., stars come out, and that's the beginning of Kriya Shema time, because that's when people start going to bed. Before that, it's too early. It's not, you have to eat dinner. You come home from work. And by 10 p.m., it's, what do you mean? 4 hours, you have plenty of time to eat dinner and whatever you're going to do. And now it's bedtime, because you got to get up at dawn. Remember, I just want to speak something else, which maybe I didn't speak up before. People worked, and they had to work. There was this, it was an agricultural society in antiquity, and you needed daylight, so you needed to work hard, and therefore you needed to get working early in the day when it wasn't hot and you have a full day to work. You can't work at night in the field and so on. Therefore, it was considered lazy and irresponsible to sleep past daybreak, because you have to be out there working when you have daylight hours to work. So therefore, at 10 p.m., every good citizen went to sleep, right? If you were a really good citizen, you got up earlier before work and learned by candlelight. But every good citizen is going to bed at bedtime, and all the Kabbalah, that's a bad, scary, dark, negative time anyways, the first part of the night, so therefore it's sleeping time. Yeah.
Just Rashi here where he talks about Hekter Chavavim, he says that the Chazal Lo amru bo chachamim achatzos klal. So just clarify.
Yeah, Rashi's objecting. This is Rashi's objecting. It's a sideboard, really. Rashi says, listen, Rashi's like a human, Varlan encyclopedia, and he's saying, listen, I learned through Shas, and the rabbis never said you have to do the burning of the fats and limbs by midnight. So what's the Mishnah getting off saying that here? So some answer, yeah, David said it right over here, and so that's what Rashi's bothered by. It's a side point. Whatever the answer is. It's hard to imagine that the obligation. I don't want to get into this so much now. I will get to it because it's relevant. There's a question to be asked: how analogous these three cases are. Is Kriya Shema midnight versus Chatzos really analogous to burning the fat limbs at midnight and eating the karbanos till at midnight by midnight? The reason why is because if you fail to say Kriya Shema, you can't go back, right? But if you do it in the second half of the night, if you say Kriya Shema late, so what? If you eat meat that's sacrificial meat late, and it's already called nosar, it's not just so what, it's a chiv kares. So they're not exactly the same. It could be that the rabbis are saying until chatzos and no longer, and maybe when it comes to sacrificial meat, they're saying you're actually over some kind of derabanan isser of nosar. I mean, the rabbis, like you're familiar with lots of derabanans like that, they say, listen, you dare not eat the meat past midnight, and if you do, you're over a derabanan. That ostensibly probably wouldn't be the same. I'll say probably because Machlokas Rishonim probably would be the same when it comes to Kriya Shema, because what's the big deal? You said Kriya Shema on accidents after the buzzer. Okay, so you missed your mitzvah, you're not doing the Aveira. So it could be they're not exactly the same. Hektar Chalam, the burning of the fats and limbs should be the same thing. In other words, you have to burn it by morning. But if you burn it late, like after midnight, so what? There's no crime. So there's a question. Now I'll just speak this out. The reason why I agreed to fill it out, flesh out further, is because Rabbi Yonah understands an interesting thing. Rabbi Yonah understands that the rabbis introduced new isurim. Like they have the power to say, I don't care that you have a mitzvah to eat this meat till the morning. We say no meat past midnight. And if you do, don't think you're doing a mitzvah, you're doing an aveira. Even though the Torah said you could, we say you can't. Like, you're familiar with they're saying we're not blowing shofar on first day of Rosh Hashanah and Shabbos. The Torah said blow it. The rabbis have the power to say, well, we're not blowing it anyways because we have other considerations, and they can undo mitzvahs, so to speak, nafkiyah mitzvahs. So that machlokas over here also then, because if is Kriya Shema the same? Is it some derabanan like isser of saying Kriya Shema past midnight? Maybe, probably not, but it could be following machlokas of if they were at a simcha and therefore at a wedding, and therefore the rabbis didn't say in such a case, if you were a putter from the mitzvah of Kriya Shema because you wasn't a mitzvah, then they'll give you a grace period and say in the second half of the night. Whereas if it's just some excuse, you were just having a party, maybe the rabbi said, no, we're penalizing you. Come midnight, if you can say Kriya Shema, you may not say it anymore, and we're not letting you be guilty if you do say it. Because we don't care, we want people to fall into line. And I know some people are like, Shabbos in the morning, there's discussion about, they say you stick your hand out the window with the thing in your hand, you have to now keep it there all of Shabbos and so on. So the rabbis sometimes do say, listen, we want to make things hard on you to keep you in line. So that's what's going on behind the scenes here. I don't want to get so bogged down in all this halachas Rishon, but Rashi is bothered by the fact, to answer your question now, that it doesn't say anywhere else that you have to burn the fats and limbs by midnight, so what's the Mishnah even getting at over here? Yeah?
How does this all relate to Pesach when you have to go in?
Oh, that's a good question. So actually, you might think that's not a good question, but I think it is a good question. It's not as big non-secular as you think. The reason why is because I said something which actually needs to be qualified. I said Midoraisa, the night is one unit, which is true, and that's the point of this Mishnah here. There may be an exception. There may be an exception when it comes to one thing, the Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach may actually have a midnight cutoff for real. Because why? Unlike everything else, there was an event that happened in Chatzos. The Jews went out at midnight. So normally the night is not divided into two, but the Korban Pesach may be dark by midnight, not because of extraneous reasons of like this Mishnah, but rather because it has to be eaten in haste, b'chipazon, so to speak, so ready to go and have Yitzis L'Shayna at midnight. That's the connection there. Yeah.
The question of once upon a time with the rabbis, it seems a superfluous question because his son, the Rabbi Gamliel, being a Nasi, obviously would be his rabbi, and he knew the answer would go that he would say until sunrise. He wouldn't care what the Chachamim would say.
So that's what you think is wrong, but that's exactly why the Mishnah says what it did. Because everyone's going to think like you think, and therefore the Mishnah is coming to say. I'll rehearse what he said. The question is, come on, these are big boys. They're the Nasi's sons. They know the rules. They know what the father holds, and so why would they ask such a dumb question? They know full well the father says you have till morning. But the point of the Mishnah is saying here is the Rabbi Gamliel is saying that Rabbi Gamliel understands the rules too, and he wouldn't tell his boys, forget those crazy rabbis, do what I say. No, he wouldn't. He would say, I have my own shittas, that's good for me, but you have to follow what the halacha is. That's how it goes, right? And therefore, if he thought that the rabbi, if he understood the Chacham were disagreeing with him, then he would have said, listen, boys, you know my shittas till the morning time, till Amud Shachar, but the rabbi says the halacha, they're koveya, and you missed the chance. But he's saying not like that. He's saying, no, you should know. The rabbis say chatzos, but that's only l'chachila, and maybe they're mafkiya afterwards, maybe they say it's too late afterwards, but that's only because they're trying to keep people from doing averas. But they agree with me, the rabbis agree with me, that really, the midoraisa, b'shach b'cha means the whole time you're lying down in bed, and therefore you have Kriya Shema opportunity the entire night, and if you missed it, either because you were negligent, because you were partying, or because you were anus, because you were doing a mitzvah on the machlukas there, you could definitely say it the rest of the night, because the rabbis agree with me, that really, b'diavad, you can say it till the morning.
I need a little explanation here. Who are the chachamim that he's talking about?
That's a great question.
Where are they?
So it's not entirely clear, but it's something like this. Meaning maybe it's not clear to me, but I think it's not clear to anybody exactly. Let's sort of oversimplify it, which is not exactly true, but let's oversimplify and say there's only the 70 chachamim in the Sanhedrin. That's all his opinion counts. Probably not true, but let's assume. So Rabbi Gamliel is allowed to have his own opinion, not just because he's the Nasi, because he's a human being, and every human being is allowed to have his own opinion. If they're qualified. Rabbi Gamliel is qualified. So these people, Eliezer and Rabbi Gamliel, are disagreeing with the consensus. Now, a lot of times you should know that, like, Rabbi Eliezer was like the king of his camp, if you will, but there could have been 20 out of 70 guys who were with him. But we're not going to say Rabbi Eliezer and the 19 other guys. He was the biggest, so it's called his shita. Even though, in other words, I'm making up a story which may not be true. Rabbi Eliezer might have said, "Are you kidding me? I'll bring you 100 proofs why b'shach b'cha means bedtime, not when you're in your bed." And let's say 19 more of the Sanhedrin were convinced that he was right. But so what? In the end of the day, the Sanhedrin would have 54 and 20 against, and the halacha would be that we have until chatzos. So the chacham means the general consensus, and then what the Mishnah will often do is, aside from the general consensus, there are individuals who have a different competing Masora or competing, logic, which is also usually it's going to be internally consistent, defensible. In other words, something like the metaphor said yesterday. The chacham are saying the answer is 13. So some guys in the back should be negative 13. Okay, fine. Maybe it's defensible, but listen, we have to choose one or the other. We can't have both. We're going with 13, and that's that. So sometimes the Gemara will, put this guy in the ring, and at the end say it's Yufta. We've disproven him. We show this position is not tenable, and it's rejected. But many times, like this example I give you here, the base prefix can support both understandings, and therefore Eliezer will stick to his guns forever. Say, listen, my dad told me it's bedtime, and I'm sticking to my guns. I don't care. If the rest of your fathers told you the whole night, okay, it's a day to you. We can take a vote, and then majority will rule. That's what happened. He doesn't. It's important. Even though majority rules, I'll end with this point. Oh, wait for time, but I'll end this one anyways. Sorry. Majority rules in terms of halacha, but that doesn't mean it's true. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Har Sinai, let's assume this is a big contentious point. Let's assume Hashem had one thing in mind, either bedtime or all night. Okay. Meanwhile, now there's two different opinions stuck around the Klal Yisrael. The fact that majority of the rabbis said it means all night doesn't change the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu came down and said one or the other. So we want to retain that opinion, but retain that opinion just for the purpose of halacha, which is not exactly the same as Torah, emes, what actually happened. We have to choose one way, and we're choosing the way of, we have nothing better than Acharav Mahatos to go for the majority. There's a funny line that just cut into the chase of a fascinating, complex Gemara, and referenced very briefly yesterday. When Rabbi Eliezer ultimately gets kicked out of the rabbinic camp for not following the line of the rabbis, so it says Rabbi Eliezer was the smartest, and he didn't agree with them, and they took a vote, and they voted against him in a different case, not this case. And so then someone asked Eliyahu Navi, what was happening in heaven when they kicked Rabbi Eliezer out? And Eliyahu Navi says, Hashem was saying, Nitzchunai banai, my children have defeated me, which suggests that using my own rules of going after the majority, they overruled me. If you were to ask me, says God, so to speak, I'd have told you, bring to this case, in my analogy, out of 10, bedtime is crazy. That's what I meant. But the rules are follow what the rabbis say, so they've defeated me and go with the rabbis. So we're retaining the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, even though the majority opinion by numbers was like a. Okay.